start streaming, and the connection seems to be healthy. Great, wonderful. So we should be live. So welcome everybody to the May Ada Monthly Meetup, not the first Saturday of the month due to some holiday seasons here in Madrid. And today we have a guest speaker, AJ, who will introduce us to GetAda, which was very recently released, and I think it had a very positive reception from the wider programming world, as we will see from the Hacker News thread. I have it here, so you don't have to search for it, and the links will always, as always, will be made available to everybody afterwards. And then I will also talk a little bit about Ada Europe, the Ada Developers Workshop that will be taking place in basically a month from now, close to a month. So yeah, AJ, thank you for your time here, and you're free to share your screen and show us what you got.
Thank you. So let me go ahead and jump right in. I can kind of show you what the website looks like real quick. So first off, my name's AJ. You probably see me around as AJ Dude. I'm kind of obsessed with Ada. I've kind of made it my personal mission to advocate for and grow the community as much as I can. Um, Before I get started, I kind of want to just talk about why I created GetAda. So it was like probably around 15 years ago when I picked up an old Ada book at my university library and I fell in love with the language. I had just learned C++ the previous semester, and with the summer starting, I decided to learn as many programming languages as I could. I dug into everything from Forth to Cobol. In the end, I really came to appreciate Ada's structure and focus on safety. And since then, I would annoy all my friends who worked in C and later Python and Go trying to argue in favor of Ada. Around 6 years ago, after reading a post on Reddit called Going All In with Ada, a manifesto, I decided to put all my money where my mouth was and practice what I preached. I bought a copy of John Bernay's Programming Ada 2012, and I decided that any coding that I'm going to do moving forward would be in Ada. The following years, I would watch another language focused on safety, memory safety to be exact, quickly become one of the fastest rising languages in an ever growing community. Worst of all, at the same time when this language was on the rise, I saw Ada kind of shrinking every year. Yes, I'm talking about Rust. Those very same friends who couldn't get into Ada embraced Rust fully. It seemed to be the answer they were looking for. So I had to ask myself, why not Ada? Spoke with several of those friends about what they found great about Rust and what issues they ran into with Ada. They gave me a few reasons. One of the big ones was the install and setup. Basically, you just go to rustup.rs, you run a command, congratulations, you now have cargo. At that time, this was before we had Allure. Getting Ada installed would be people would be questioned with a lot of different license. Okay, wait, do I use Map Pro? What's Community Edition? What's this runtime license I have to worry about? To start a new Rust project, all you had to do was type in cargo new foo, cd foo, and cargo build. And of course, now Allure solves that problem. But before that, they would be presented with a lot of options with nat build and nat make and GPR build, all that stuff. Um, Again, Rust basically has no barrier to entry. Even for non-programmers, they can pick it up without knowing that much coding, and they can kind of get started with it. It has a lot of its, I guess, its onboarding is really good. Now, many of these points have been addressed in Ada in the 2020s with the retirement of Community Edition, introduction of Allure. However, whenever I see someone trying to learn about Ada with no prior knowledge, Allure is almost never mentioned. Consider the recent Hackaday article. So a few times I've seen someone try Allure, for example, on a YouTube video, something goes wrong for the world to see. Usually they get tied up with nat make, a GPR build, which again, as powerful as GPR build is, it raises the barrier of entry to new members. So that's why I created GetAda.dev. I wanted to address all the problems that people run into when trying to get into Ada. I want to, and I guess excuse the pun, bring forward all of the elaborations of the language so people don't need a follow-up once they start getting into it. So due to the nature of this one-liner command, people can end up with a full Ada toolchain in just a few minutes. No downloading a binary file, adding items to path, running strange macOS commands to prevent the binary from loading, or digging around with compilers. They can always have the most up-to-date version of Allure, and they can undo everything they did after installing. One of my friends described it as it's a door to open rather than a hill to climb. With that being said, let's kind of just look at this website. So it's very bare bones, pretty straightforward. It's generated with Yaz, yet another static website generator, which I've recently, I guess recently in the last couple years, became the maintainer of. And you basically, hey, on Windows, click here to download the installer. This is just Allure's installer. Mac or Linux, you just copy and paste this into your terminal. And of course, on BSD, they can get it through fresh ports. We have a little summary they can click, and it's again, this is kind of just like a almost like a cheat sheet card sort of thing that just says, hey, how to use Allure, gives a very, very high level overview. Create a new project, just do this. Add a dependency, do that. Edit a project, do that. Hey, this is how you set your default editor. Here's how you select your tool chain. Here's how you compile your project. And then I send them off to adalang.o's tutorial, which I think does a much better job at, you know, going through all of this stuff in more detail. But so for example, I've already got rid of Allure on my Mac, so I'm going to just use this command line to install it. So I'm going to just copy and paste this command, and it's off. So I'm greeted with a, let me see here, there we go. I'm greeted with a little message, hey, this is what Allure is. Welcome to GetAda. It's basically says what it's going to do. I'm going to download to this temporary folder. You can change this with changing a temporary variable. This is where it's going to end up being. Again, all of these are configurable. You can here's where the binary will be, and this is where it's going to modify these files. They're just environmental files, so it's in your path. Do you want to continue? Yes or no. If you just hit enter or type, if you hit enter with no input, it will start in manual mode. Say, hey, which one version you want to use? Leave blank for new version, and which temporary folder you want to use, what configuration directory, etc. So it asks you all of these questions. And sets it with just hitting defaults if you hit yes or no. So I'm going to hit yes, continue with installation, and it's going to reach out to GitHub. It's going to grab the latest version of Allure. It's going to install it, and there we go. It's done. This does do a lot of tests and stuff in the background. So after it downloads it, it extracts it. It always looks for the latest release unless you specify a version. Now, it's not getting the nightly release. It's getting the latest actual release. And then it kicks you off with this message, hey, it's now installed. It could be called with ALR. To uninstall, run this command. To create a new project, you can do this. And it kind of gives you a summary of what the website gives you, and then it sends you off to the allure.io docs. And then it also says you may need to restart your shell. Doing shell will add blah, blah, blah to path. You can, if I restart my shell, it will just load in the environment variable and set path, but it also gives you this command to configure your current shell without restarting. Please run the following command, note the leading dot. So I'm just going to do that. And then I do rich ALR, and here we are, we have Allure. So if I do ALR version, it got 2.0.1, and it installed GetAda too. So if I do GetAda version, it says, that's installed. So what I can do is I'm just going to get a list of commands here. Let's say I want Allure 2.0 instead of 2.0.1. I can just do GetAda 2.0.0, and that should just install it. Also, you can pass another command, and it just accepts the defaults and hits yes automatically. But yeah, let's see. version. There we go. Now I have 2.0. And if I just run it again, let's see here. Let's do it with quiet and non-interactive. This should install the latest version of Allure without even say anything, and there we go. So let's, there we go. Now we have the latest version. So technically you can update Allure by just running this command. It will go out, if there's a new release, it will grab it and just replace the existing release again. This is only if it's been installed with GetAda. The other thing that you can do is, you know, say I want to uninstall these things. I can just GetAda uninstall. It's going to list everything it's going to remove. It tells you what it's going to do. It's going to remove this line from, the profile. This is the environment variable that it sources. So it's just storing it in an SH file. And ultimately, I want to add like fish and other shell support. But right now, it's just, shell and bash and those ones. But then it removes basically all of these things. If I hit yes, it just goes off and does it. And now if I type ALR, it's not going to be found. This is, which is still there actually. That's interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. But, so it's supposed to remove GetAda too, but I'll have to see why it didn't. So that's the program in action. And let me see here. Back to my browser. So all of the source code for this is available on GitHub, and it is pretty straightforward. It's not a lot. Ultimately, I want to bring in Allure's library. So I know there's some work to get Allure split up to Allure the application and Allure the library that supports the application. And I think that library is really good because it has a lot of helper functions like, hey, use apt-get to install, curl and stuff like that. So it's that way I can stop, having a lot of homegrown stuff. Sort of right now, it's just like everything here is just written out by hand. I mean, I'm even to checking the path. I'm not using like a Unix command. I'm loading in the path and iterating every path directory to see if I can find if, GetAda already exists in path. So all of this is happening, by hand right now. Also, what I want to do in the future is get have this auto generate the website. So right now the website is generated. It uses Yas, which is yet another website generator, and but I'm doing it by hand right now. So what I want to do is I want to use GitHub Actions to automatically take this static website, generate Yas, and then generate via Yas, and then upload to GetAda. And the binaries are actually also stored on here. So what this is doing, that one-liner script that I mentioned, that's right here. And I basically just forked rustup's init script, and I changed the license to I guess GPL3, and I heavily modified it to work with GetAda instead. And I think ultimately it finds out what I guess what platform you're on, and it grabs that GetAda binary based on the platform. And if it's on a non-supported platform, it gives you a helpful message. Hey, you're on BSD. Why don't you try FreshPorts? That sort of thing. So hopefully, as we kind of I'm trying to work on getting like Allure on every possible tool, place that I can. Uh, Maybe then as those happen, I can have this, bring in more and more platforms. But that's kind of where it is right now. And the other thing is this is kind of unrelated to GetAda directly, but we also have a Discord server now. And let me see here. That's actually getting some traction. And Max, I know I still have to get with you. We were talking on and off about kind of bridging Telegram and Discord. If anybody here is in the Matrix channel and in IRC and they're interested in like setting up some kind of bridge, I think it would be pretty interesting. We have a lot of different chats and stuff. So, here's an example of the Discord server. I put the event for the Ada Monthly Meetup in there, and there's actually a lot of interesting discussion going on right now. A lot of really nice posts and stuff in there. But what I'm hoping we can do ultimately is between Discord and maybe Telegram and Matrix and stuff like that is set up a bridge where it's totally transparent to the users. So somebody's posting in Discord, it looks like that person is also posting in the Telegram channel, for example. I know this is kind of going to be taking a lot of collaboration, and yeah, but I think that would be kind of helpful. We're kind of everywhere right now in a whole bunch of different places, and there's just some people prefer to be on one platform, other people prefer to be on another. Some people don't want to have a million chat applications open all the time, and this could be helpful, I think. um, and this again is part of like the barrier to entry sort of thing where there's some people that just if they're not going to be on Discord, they're not going to be anywhere. And that way, having a Discord at least helps make things accessible for those people, whereas they might not otherwise would have. Again, I'm really trying to, I guess, do like focus on community outreach and stuff, and trying to grow the Ada community and that sort of thing. The other thing I'm kind of working towards is more documentation. I know that we have learn.adacore.com. It's a great resource, but every person I've sent there who doesn't really know anything about, like who doesn't already know another programming language, they end up having trouble. It's great for an existing programmer, but it's not as great for a first language. So one of my goals is to try to get documentation specifically for people who don't know any prior programming language and are kind of just coming in fresh to Ada, because there used to be, I mean, maybe a few decades ago, a lot of like Ada was arguably one of the easiest languages to learn, coming from having no programming background. And I think we just need better resources for getting them introduced into there. So that's uh, that's kind of where I am and where GetAda stands right now. I know that was kind of long-winded, but
I would like to ask about Windows. What is difficulty to get Ada on Windows, and are you going to work in this direction?
getting Ada on Windows actually seems a little. It's kind of straightforward. I think it just so Windows has its own installer. Well, for Allure at least, it has its own installer. I think that brings in what is it? That MS V2 or whatever it's called, MS Sys 2. It brings in those like Unix tools for Windows applications, and I think Allure installs that the first time you run it. So the installer downloads and installs Allure and puts it in the start menu. When you go to start and you run Allure that way, it brings up a terminal, and I think that terminal installs all of the Unix tools that are needed to run Allure. Um, yeah, funnily enough, I haven't. I think Windows is one of the easier. I guess from barrier to entry wise, getting Ada on Windows isn't that difficult at all. I think it's just the people who tend to lean towards programming end up being on Mac or Linux more than on Windows. I haven't seen many complaints over Windows, and then it's the other two that people tend to be on. And maybe that will change as more people start trying Ada out. But yeah, my main focus was mostly Linux because that seemed to be where the people are having the most difficulty. Getting Ada on Windows was probably more difficult before Allure, and handling like libraries and stuff like that. But that was all solved with just bringing in a good package manager for that.
Yes, hi. Thank you very much. That looks really good. What you've done, I'm really impressed. And since you gave your little intro, so I am curious. Did any of the people, your coworkers, give it a try? And especially
Yeah.
those who had problems before, and also some that never tried getting Ada before. I mean, sorry, never tried looking into Ada before.
Yeah. So a few of my coworkers did give it a try, and actually, so the person who's never tried Ada before at all was one of those people that was that friend who said this feels more like a door to open rather than a hill to climb, getting Ada on their system. Um, One of my other friends, actually, who has been obsessed with Rust, he tried it, and he's been like I mean, I would say since trying this, and I would say probably in like the last year or so, he's been a little more amenable to Ada. So he has stopped, actively saying like teasing me about using the language, and he's been saying more positive things. And he was like, "Oh wow, it looks like Ada's going to be getting pattern matching soon," and that sort of thing. So it's there's um, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about Ada, and a lot of those misconceptions are people still like see Ada as being something from like the late 80s, early 90s in terms of functionality and tooling and configuration and stuff like that. And um, I think this just kind of helps them see, hey, this is a modern language. I mean, the last standard was in 2022. But not just that, it has a lot of modern tooling and stuff as well. And what originally got me doing this was one of my friends specifically said, "Hey, I said, well, what exactly do you like about Rust? Because everything you're telling me, I'm telling you that Ada supports as well." And they gave me all these bullet points, which I don't have time to go into right now, but I'll write a blog post about it later. But a lot of those bullet points were kind of my outline to, okay, I'm going to take these bullet points, I'm going to ensure all of this exists in Ada. And one of the first bullet points was rest up. But Allure and Ada Lang IO and the Ada language server, that solves like 90% of those bullet points they gave me anyway. But this was sort of one of the ones. But yeah, it's been super positive. The mentioned the HackerNet thread. So I posted this or Hacker News. I posted this on Hacker News, and it was it. I mean, within 194 points, 115 comments. I mean, this thread absolutely blew up. And the very top comment is, as the current Rust Up maintainer with a bit of Ada background, I gotta say, nice work. I do feel Ada as a language is way ahead of its time. When I was learning it, I was also puzzled by the dev environment and setup. I guess the Rust experience also showed the importance of friendly onboarding experience. I'm glad to see Ada is going the direction as well now with the Lore and GetAda. But I mean, this is one of the Rust maintainers, liking this stuff. There was a lot of positive feedback in the wider programming community that it's like, wow, I think Ada exists. And what I'm hoping to do is just with things like Yas and some kind of documentation. I want to try to make like some maybe YouTube videos and stuff. What I really want to do is just kind of raise the overall perception of, hey, Ada is out there. Somebody on here mentioned, maybe it's the algorithm, but I've been seeing a lot more things about Ada lately. And that's kind of the hope is, just overall keeping Ada up in the general, I guess, consciousness that just for your average programmer, they see Ada coming up more and more often. Eventually, I'm hoping they would say, you know what, let me take a look at this language. Now, again, once they do that, we have to then have everything. We kind of have to, be able to back up that big talk and say, yeah, all this stuff is great about Ada, but then once they get in, we want to make sure that experience is great and not, oh crap, I don't know where I'm going with this. And that's what I'm kind of hoping to do. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah. No, and I'm also curious. Are you able to see like how many downloads that you're getting and like what targets that people are installing it on?
So not right now. I didn't set up any of that. I was surprised that I thought mistakenly that GitHub, I guess GitHub.io, had some kind of metrics to show me that, but it doesn't. So I'm not sure how many people actually have been using it. I might try to look into some kind of like tracking just to get, to pings to see how many hits different pages are getting and stuff. But I don't really have any of those metrics right now. So unfortunately, that's one of the ones I don't have.
Hi, yes. So yeah, I also think you did a really great job. I think, yeah, I have more Ada users if your stuff had come in even earlier. But yeah, it's awesome. Um, One thing that I was wondering if did you consider adding GetAda to like the Snap D store that's used by the Ubuntu community? Yeah, it's just some people like they're so used to now getting stuff from that it'd be nice to have GetAda in there, a presence in there.
No, I haven't really looked into Snap, I admit. It'd be something. I guess I wonder if it's worth getting. So I guess is Snap like some kind of other package manager, or is
Yeah,
it?
it's yeah, it seems to be yeah, it seems to be like the new easy fancy installer that a lot of that they seem to be moved onto, and so a bunch of apps like Firefox and Gambit and a whole bunch of other stuff have have now moved over to that to get installed. There's also still like the sudo get app tool, which also would have been nice to be able to use. Because I tried looking in that since I'm on Ubuntu, I tried just looking there is in that, and it said, "Oh, don't know what a layer is, or sorry, GetAda is, or something like that." So yeah, it's
Oh,
just
gotcha.
like basically, yeah, yeah. Maybe you need to also look at some of the other installers that are now popular, just so that, just like we said, just make it just get Ada and layer into as many of these fancy installers as possible, so that you don't miss something that someone's used to using right now.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. Very good point. I'll take a look at that. Any other questions? Great.
Well, there doesn't seem to be any more questions, AJ. Thank you very much for your presentation. Oh, yes, Simon did want to ask something. Please feel free.
Yeah. I think you said that you don't support, well, completely support the new M1 Macs. Is that right?
So right now, the the sh init file can detect the M1 Max. The GetAda binary file itself downloads the M1 binary if it's an M1 Mac, but I think right now GetAda downloads the x86 version of Allure when it downloads that.
You
And
don't have a lot of choice there unless you
yeah,
build it
so
yourself.
yeah, and I'm trying to. That might be something that is later down the road, but right now it's entirely relying on like whatever comes in the release of Allure. So
Yeah.
if the next version of Allure comes out and it has the M2 or the M1 version of Mac in it, Apple Silicon, so it has both the x86 and the M1, then I can make sure that GetAda does grab that. I think right now it's looking for it. If it doesn't find it, it goes to fall back on the x86 version. So as soon as we get that released in Allure, which I heard that it might be in the next one, at some point once that tooling is there and once that gets built. I've built Allure for the M2 myself. It's pretty straightforward, and I think it could probably be done in GitHub Actions. I think it's just a matter of adding it to the release. And once that's done, this will get that. But yeah, my GetAda itself is built, offers both.
Yeah, we already have in the GitHub release page for the compiler, you can get the M1 version, but you can't get Allure itself.
Yeah, and I think we need, I could be wrong, but I think we need to run the, do we need to run the M1 version of Allure for it to automatically detect that it's running on Apple Silicon to get that tool chain?
Actually, I'm not sure how you can tell. Anyway, perhaps other people
Yeah.
don't care. I don't know how you can tell whether you're running on Apple Silicon or not. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know. I'm able to in GetAda, and I think Allure has the tooling for it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you.
So, are there more questions? Then, if not, thank you, AJ, for presenting us GetAda. Thank you for also publicizing it a little bit in Hacker News and in the forums and everything, so that the community quickly picks up on it. And also makes everything much easier to just work with. So I think, as you said, lowering the barrier of entry is one of the main points that we should be doing right now in Ada. And then moving on, I would like to share my screen with you so that I can so that I can show you some of the updates that have been going on here. So once again, the links to GetAda and the Hacker News threads will be available to you all. But I want to talk a little bit about Ada Europe, the Ada Europe conference, so specifically the Ada Developer Workshop that will be taking place on the 14th of June. It will be a Friday. I suppose you can all already see my screen. We are still giving the finishing touches to the announcement, and we are working to get the list posted up in the official website, which I will show in a second. But we already have a preview, or basically the information is already available. And this is the list of talks and speakers that will be present there. I would like to talk about the Ada community a little bit, and this will be more of a discussion with Ada community advocacy. Let me zoom in so that you may see it better. And by the way, the order of these talks is not the order that they will be taking place on. This is once again just the list, the information that will be available. The schedule is still being worked on. So we'll have to talk about Ada and Ada community advocacy, and then we have another talk about Sweet Ada, a wonderful little framework to work with embedded systems and in multiple architectures. So it's incredibly exhaustive, and it's really cool. And we would like to Gabriel Galeotti and I have been working on getting sweet Ada support for RISC-V on an FPGA. So we hope to showcase that live during the event. Then Jeffrey will give 2 presentations. The first one, one of them will be avoiding access types. I think this is a very interesting topic, and Jeffrey has been always very vocal against the misuse or overuse of access types. And this will be, in my humble opinion, a very interesting topic. And also also about controlled I/O, a library that he will present live to us regarding the use of scope-based files and their automatic closing and opening thanks to the controlled features of the language. Then Christian Simon will present the Ironclad POSIX real-time POSIX kernel, which is also verified using Spark. You may remember that he already presented it a few months ago here, but now he will do so in a much more formal or in a much more conference-like manner. So that's always great. Then Jean-Pierre Rosen will give us an introduction, well, not an introduction, a small overview of time and within Ada. So the use of synchronization primitives, delays, timing structures and things like that. So another very technical and very cool topic. Germán Rivera will present us high RTOs, multi-core RTOs written in Spark Ada. Once again, a very nice topic. This one is more on the embedded size compared to Ironclad. So a slightly similar topic, but quite different nonetheless. Alejandro Mosteo will talk will give a short talk about Alier 2.0 and the new features and quality of life improvements that have been added to Alier. And Guillermo will also present us GNAV, which is a avionics guidance program that he has been creating for a long time. And this time he will showcase this program within Ada Webpack, basically within WASM, WebAssembly. So a very different take on Ada and web technologies compared to the rest of the presentations. So I think it's a fairly interesting pack of topics, of people, and yeah, I'm pretty happy how it turned out. And once again, the official announcement is still to take place, and we are still working on the details of the final schedule due to some timing constraints with the breaks and things like that. But we hope to get it as soon as possible. I would also like to thank Dirk for his continuous work and commitment with this with the organization of the workshop. So once again, you can go to the official Ada Europe website where we have the Ada Developers Workshop, and I suppose we'll put here the actual schedule and everything. Nonetheless, I would like to give a big reminder to everybody that may be thinking on coming to Ada Europe, both the conference, the workshops, the tutorials, everything, that the registration is already opened. And the early registration cutoff date is the 20th of May. So there is still some time, but nonetheless, the time is closing down. And if you manage to register earlier, you will have a discount, both for the conferences, tutorials, and the workshops. So just as a kind reminder, the early registration for the Ada Developer Workshop will be 10 euros, which basically covers the cost of the food. So it's a fairly low price, and you can save a little bit of money if you register earlier. So that would be that's a nice thing for everybody to get. Also, as AJ mentioned, Dr. Pai posted about 2 articles that have been posted to Hackaday. regarding programming in Ada, and it's been a series of articles. So the first one is an introduction. The second one looks in more detail into a few aspects. And if there are any suggestions, you can post them to the articles, and maybe we can. The author may be willing to write a little bit more. So feel free to do so. Also, as a quick reminder, I don't think anybody here is interested in this, but the Ada Spain Technical Days Technical Day will be taking place next Friday, so Friday 17th of May, early in the morning. Everything will be in Spanish. So yeah, just as a point there, important point for everybody to know. And if you would like to know more about Sweet Ada and the FPGA support that has been recently added, you may be Gabriel posted it in the forum. So oopsie. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover here. Those are kind of the big news, the big announcements, the future of what's coming to the community. So that's about everything from my side. Once again, the announcement for the finalized schedule will be posted regarding the Ada Developer Workshop will be posted as soon as possible, hopefully before or during Monday. So, are there any questions? Are there any comments? Anything that anybody would like to say, add? Yes, Simon. I cannot hear you. I don't know if you're muted.
There we go. Right, you may have seen that GCC 14.1 has been released at source level. I have successfully managed to build that for Macs, both x86 and M1. I'm having a bit of a problem with the test suite at the moment. It seems to be failing rather more than I would like. So I'm going to check that out before I actually release anything, but it shouldn't be long.
Thank you. Thank you, Simon. So Weston asks, will the workshop
You're on mute.
Oh. Thank you, Max. So Weston asks, will the workshop presentations be given all in one day? The answer is yes. They will take place all on the 14th of June, Friday, from early in the morning to the afternoon. We plan to record them so that we can later upload them for everybody else to see who couldn't join. And we also we are hoping to live stream in them so that online presence and interaction is also possible in case you cannot come in person. So that's our goal. Whether the technical aspects will be solved by then is still to be decided, but that's what we are aiming for. Yes, Wesley.
So are you guys going to make sure you do like test recordings just to make sure everything, all the stuff works so that there's no unexpected gotchas when you actually start recording the sessions?
Yes, my plan is to very early in the morning, very early in the morning to start setting everything up and hopefully maybe we can use something like Jitsi, maybe Google Meets, maybe something else, so basically an online service to also get it working, which will be easier for everybody potentially. But we are still looking at the actual implementation because some speakers may want to do some live presentations or shows of their code, and they may potentially use their own computers. Those aspects are the ones that we are still trying to pin, and then with all the information, we will pick a technology that hopefully works for everybody. So, but yes, we'll try to test it. If not, I will send a message in the usual channels announcing that we failed, but that's not what we are aiming for. Yes, Max, please.
I was thinking about calendar for Ada events, and I didn't find any such Google Calendar or something like this. So I just created a personal Ada, personal Google Calendar for keep other events. And I would like to share it on sites, maybe on Ada.Leng.io, and everybody could add events in this calendar if you join the Google group. You know, Google group was earlier broadcasting news group messages, but now news group is not work on Google groups, but this Google group you can use just to push event in this calendar, because I grant access to edit the calendar to every member of this group. I will send links, and you're welcome if you want to participate.
So, are there any more questions or topics that you would like to discuss? Well, if there are none, then I think we can conclude this monthly Ada meetup. I would like to say that there will be no monthly meetup next month, so in June, due to the Ada Developer Workshop. We can think of it as the bigger, better version of the monthly meetup. So I will not be organizing it next month. Nonetheless, of course, since we will have the videos or live stream from the presentations there, I suppose that makes up for it. Then, yeah, that's pretty much everything from my side. As always, I will write a summary with the links in the Ada Lang forums. And yeah, that's pretty much all from my side. And of course, once again, thank you to AJ for presenting it this month. And I see that. Oh, I thought someone raised their hand. Okay, maybe it was a mistake. Then thank you, and I will stop now the recording.